Welcome to A Little Bit Agricultural, the show that celebrates Aussie farming and farmers, and we are in Moree, exploring all this place has to offer. Moree is actually famous in Australian ag. The Gwydir Valley is a major producer of cotton and grains, but we'll get to all that later. First, we have an appointment and a short drive to a pecan farm. Now, in case you missed it, Oscar is motorbike obsessed.
This is Alba the First. She's a known quantity, extremely reliable, bulletproof, some might say.
What are you doing?
She was purring like a kitten until she stopped. She was like a kitten that was like popping up her first mothballs and didn't really know what was going on. I don't know if she's going to make it. we might have to leave her here for a little bit.
Okay.
Cool down.
All right. I don't want to be rude, but we're like 10 k's out of Moree.
Beautiful. It's just teething issues. She will
It's
be
got you
fine.
10 k's down the road.
Yes.
And now we're running late for our farmer.
10 more than 0.
Right.
She's still going.
Yeah. It's a big country, 10 k's is there. She's fixed. Sometimes young people have good ideas and sometimes they don't.
The bike didn't start again, so we left it behind a tree and continued on.
Oscar, we're talking nuts. We're talking pecan nuts.
I could not tell you anything about pecan nuts, Andrew. I've been
Brilliant.
at all kinds of farms.
Yes.
I cannot tell you any more than the first sentence of a Wikipedia
You are a
page.
trained farming scientist, an agronomist, and you know nothing about pecan nuts. I know that they make a nice pie, a pecan pie, and that's about it.
Yeah, I can't add much more than that.
Well, they must be a bit more than that because you should see this setup. It's massive.
This is not an oasis in the middle of nowhere. This is Trawalla Farm. It is, in fact, Australia's largest pecan farm that was established in the 1960s, being the first large-scale pecan farm outside of North America. It was planted by visionary American Dean Starman Jr.
He specifically looked for somewhere in the southern hemisphere to plant pecans. Most of the pecan production is in the northern hemisphere, so by planting in the southern hemisphere, we got that advantage that our crop was fresh when their crop was 6 months old, so that opposite season effect. Deciding on the southern hemisphere, Mr. Starman looked all over Australia to find somewhere that had the perfect growing conditions, and that's why he settled on this region near Moree. Moree has a great climate for pecans. We have the heat hours through summer, but we also get enough chill hours through the winter that pecans also require. Along with the heat, chill and good soil, we also had Copeton Dam had just been built as the farm was being developed, so we had the good, reliable source of water that the pecans also needed.
Given the climate and a reliable water source, this is the perfect location for these trees to thrive, and that's just what they're doing. So let's break this down. The whole process has to start with the soil.
So this would have all just dropped through the harvester and blown through.
That's great.
Oh mate, we've got so many worms in this soil, it's just loaded with microbial life, and it's great. We get all this natural organic matter every year. It's fantastic. We're actually carbon positive in that we store more carbon than we burn each year. The trees are deciduous, so all these leaves will drop off at the end of this season and grow a fresh batch of leaves each year. So we also have zero-till farming practice, so over the years the levels of carbon within our soils have built up dramatically.
We visited the pecan farm when the nuts on the trees were still tiny. However, these little nutlets have an interesting story to tell.
Pecans are either a type 1 or type 2, so they either have their flower first or pollen first. So as this variety had its flower out here, the variety next to it would have had its pollen active. So the pollen has drifted across just with the wind. We don't rely on any insects for pollination. Has landed on these nutlets here, and because they've turned dark on the end, I know that these have been pollinated. So they'll stay here now until potentially May. We may, for the next 7 months or so, these will grow through and mature. They're growing inside a protective shuck there at the moment. As the nut matures and ripens, that shuck will split open and we'll see the nut with its fully formed shell inside.
So it does that on the tree?
It does that on the tree, and you can sort of tell how ripe the crop is just by seeing how many nuts have split open.
The agronomy is fascinating, but I wanted to know more about the nuts themselves.
I feel healthier already.
Yeah.
You might need a few more, Andrew.
I should look. It's marketing gold.
Absolutely.
Pecan sales.
Fat black eating.
We did look up the health facts of the nuts. Pecans are in fact good for the heart, the brain and immune cell development. Plus, they are super low in sugar and high in key vitamins, minerals and antioxidants. So if you don't put them in a pie and cover them with caramel, they actually are really good for you. Meanwhile, back on the farm, there was mowing to do.
Hey mate, the mowing process is quite interesting because it's also neat. The trees are in beautiful rows and I imagine having it look like a beautiful golf course or a bowling green, but you don't do that.
We don't, even though it'd look great to be mowed like that. Our orchard floor is actually a habitat for our insects, so we need to treat it that way.
This scruffy looking understory is the reason why this operation is free of insecticides.
There's always a threat from pest and disease. We have some insect pests which like to attack the trees and the nuts themselves. We're an insecticide-free orchards. We don't spray any insecticides, so we use biological controls to control the insect pests. Our two main insect pests here are the green vegetable bug and the stem girdler moth. For the green vegetable bug, we released a wasp called the trichopoda wasp. It's about the size of a housefly, and this wasp goes out, it mates first, then it goes out and finds one of these veggie bugs and it lays its eggs onto the veggie bug. That egg hatches, and then the larvae of that fly then eats the veggie bug, it kills it. It then hatches out of that veggie bug a couple of weeks later, turns into a wasp and goes and repeats the process. Back in the 1990s, before we introduced the wasp, about 15% of the nuts were being attacked and stung by the vegetable bugs. And in this last season, our vegetable bug damage would have been 0.0 something percent, so had a great impact on the vegetable bug numbers and the quality of our crop without having to use chemicals, so that was a big success. The stem girdler moth, it's controlled in a similar sort of manner, except the wasp that attacks it is really tiny. It's about the size of a grain of sand, and it actually lays its eggs onto the eggs of the moth, and they then attack the moth eggs and kill the moth that way. Both wasps are nectar feeders, so unless there's any flowers within the orchard, they don't have a reason, they don't want to be here. So we have to treat the orchard as a habitat for these insects. So when we mow, we only mow every second row.
Yeah, okay.
So that the row that we've skipped, you can see has still got flowers and insects in it.
And bugs flying around,
Exactly,
Yeah.
so we'll then come back and mow that in a few weeks' time. By that time, the other row's grown back up and we have flowers and habitat in that row. So
there's a bit to this pecan growing. So next time you eat a pecan nut, just know that there's been plenty of thought go into it.
there's a bit of work involved behind the scenes, mate, for sure.
It really is.
Louise, you do leaf testing. Can you tell me a bit about the leaf testing? Well, why do you do it and how do you do it?
So leaf testing, so we do leaf testing from November until March, so every month, from November until March. And then, so we have to grab leaves and so we have a protocol. And then we send all the leaves to a lab and then we got the results. And the results will tell us if the trees are missing of something, you know, like zinc, nitrogen, phosphate.
Yeah.
And then we can figure out what we will spray or give to the trees.
So it's to help develop your nutrition program.
Nice. You just have to grab the leaves, so as I said, near to the nut cluster, and like this. That's it.
And that's because these leaves are probably the ones where the nutrition will feed the nuts.
Yeah. And then that's it for that one. And we can grab other leaves on other trees.
Yeah.
And then, as I said, we are going every second row.
Yeah, okay.
Because we do have
Because you've got different varieties.
Yeah.
So that's the end game. That's what we're trying to get to. And it's when you come out here on the new bit of land that is being expanded and the young trees are going in, that you get a sense of just how big this operation is. It is baby pecan trees for as far as the eye can see. But Oscar, well, I say baby pecan trees. This tree's 4 years old, and it's sort of another 4 or 5 years till you're going to get those off it.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is, you know, I've never been on a farm where you're waiting 7 or 8 years for your first harvest. I mean, you'd think it's madness in most cases.
Yes.
But this tree might be here for 100 years or 200 years.
Yes.
He said there were orchards in America that were 200 years old. So I've never been on a farm where, you know, you've got a productive tree. And they also said the yield and the quality doesn't change, you know, over the life of the tree as far as they've ever seen. So, I mean, it's just fantastic, isn't
It's a very sustainable practice that can go on for generation and generation and generation, producing healthy pecans.
Yeah, for your, you know, caramel, sugar-coated.
It should be here for generations to come. It's pretty much the epitome of sustainable farming. It should be here for, you know, provide meaningful jobs for generations to come.
Once harvested, the nuts are processed by the company. 60% are sold in Australia, the rest are exported all over the world. We'll certainly have to come back at harvest time because that's a really, really cool process.
Andrew, do you know what this does? Do you know how it works?
No?
So it runs and it's got its own oil tank.
Oh, right, yeah, because you're so good at mechanical things, Oscar, as I've seen.
I'm very good, yeah.
This brushes stuff. That's a flicker. That's the technical word for it. And then the sucker. Flicker, sucker, sorter,
Spitter.
There you go. That's how it works.
Now it's time to hit the road again and move on to the next part of the series. But first, we need to pick up the bike.
Right, it's now 3 o'clock, so it's had a rest on the side of the road. No one stole it, interestingly enough, which...
Of course I weren't going to steal it.
Very lucky, Oscar, very lucky. See if you can make it back there. I'll follow you. And if you can't, then I don't know.
Too bad.
I don't know. You'll have to tinker with it.
She'll make it.
Why is it stopping?
Huh?
Why is it stopping? Stops when it's hot. What's that?
I reckon it's fuel.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's not much to these old workhorses that never break down.
No.
The fact that they never break down is the.
No, you've done well. You've got a very reliable bike anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
You just need a rest.
Right, back to where we're staying, the cabin park for repairs on the bike. I don't reckon it makes it. I don't know. Right.
It didn't make it.
Just hide it again over there.
Okay, there.
Yeah, that's a nice bush.
This is so sad.
Annoyingly, we had to go back to Moree to pick up Oscar's bike rack thing and then return to get the bike.
I think I f***ed up. Is the key in there? If I put on the key again, I'm in big trouble. Serious? I think I forgot the keys.
I can't help you anymore then. Good. So we've gone back, got his little dolly thing here to take the bike. All the way back to Moree, come back now. Why do you even need a key? And he's locked the steering and he needs a key. You're just gonna have to manhandle it. Have you ever ridden a bike before? Where are you going now?
Don't get on camera.
That's the best thing I've seen you own, that. That's significantly better than your bike.
What, you really got your money's worth off that.
We're yet to see. You know, if we make a cracking good show, which everyone loves, and is good fun, and everyone learns about pecans and other things, then maybe it's worth it. Or maybe it's not.
Of course it's worth it. Next time on A Little Bit Agricultural, Oscar meets his idol, a real-life agronomist with a proper motorbike.
Because these things at the front, they're supposed to be called shocks and they're supposed to absorb shock, but they just have got no absorption at all. They're just a big boingy boing, like that's just all spring there. Other than that, mate, as I said, awesome motorbike.
And we take a look at more of what Moree Ag is all about.
If you're enjoying what you're seeing and you want to follow us around the country learning about agriculture,
There is plenty more A Little Bit Agricultural for you, so search us, subscribe to us, like us, and we'll see you in a paddock near you.